So what better way could I find to start a video about the worshipping of oak trees than starting with fungus, a huge mushroom. It's been raining the last few days, and if only you could smell the smell. It's beautiful. But you can see how it all starts, right there. There's the oak tree apple. I'm not really sure what it's called like, but this is where it starts from. And you can see it's pretty fresh. So this is standing right underneath this, the oak tree. Now this video might be a bit shaky because I have to move around between trees, but bear with me. So take a look at its trunk. There, just like that. It's a very sturdy tree. You can make fantastic furniture out of it, although I would gasp at the sight of seeing it torn down. But humans do it. As far as the practical use of it, let's get it out of the way. It's very good for goats and pigs. I mean, the small kind of apples it creates. They eat it like crazy. They really like it. But what you have to look at is the shape of its leaves. It's just like that. It looks a little bit like a hand. Just a little bit. So it's quite an imposing tree. Although not the tallest I've seen taller. Now this one is taller. It really is. And some people have placed this pallet, is it called? I'm not very sure. Maybe they want to sit underneath it, just like the people who used to live here before. Although there are no houses in this hill. And you can see the place is full of them. There. And more right underneath. There. It's pretty neat, isn't it? So why is this tree considered holy, the favorite of Zeus? It's because it was the favorite tree of his mother, Rhea. And Rhea was husband to Kronos, and that couple was the primeval couple. You can see it's also mentioned by Hesiod in his cosmogony. No, wait, it was theogony. He's creating how the gods were even created, how Earth was created, how the Titans fought with the gods. It's a fantastic book. You must read it. It's a must read. So Zeus was the child that was saved from his father's fury. By being hidden in a cave in Crete by, I think it was Leto. He grew up in a cave and he was eating food, plenty of food that was coming out of the horn of a goat, which was called the Amalthean horn because it just produced food, plenty of it, very good food, out of nothing. So he grew up, and then when he was old and strong enough, he castrated his father and killed him. Now, Robert Graves sees in this the transition between the worship of the... There, you see? Just fell. Just when we were talking about Kronos getting killed, worshipping the chthonic deities like Rhea, like all the deities that resemble or are more closely affiliated to Earth and motherhood and matriarchy or matriarchy. That was the worship that was swept by the tribes that worshipped the sky gods, the heavenly ones, the one that Hölderlin also very often mentions, the himmlischen. We can see that as soon as they moved down and swept the whole continent, the whole peninsula, starting from almost Romania to Greece, they deposed the ancient gods and brought their own. So it's a transition from mother-loving to father-loving rituals and worship. Worship with a capital W. The ancient Greeks used to crown the Olympic athletes, the winners from the Olympic Games, with twigs from oak trees before they moved on to using the olive tree crowns. That's a detail many people do not know, and it's something that the Romans also did when they wanted to grant a token of virtue to a citizen, like civis. That's what they were called, the Romanus civis sum, meaning that I am a Roman citizen in Latin. And whenever a citizen was exhibiting virtue, he was given a prize, and that was a crown of oak trees. Now, oak tree, naturally, many of you should know that it was a very, very dear tree to the Celts as well. All across the pagan world, essentially, it was a very much loved tree. And the Celts loved it under many names, and one of those names was actually Teuton or Tefton. And it's no accident that later many groups, those... Well, you can ask Mozart. Mozart was considering himself Deutsch, not exactly Deutsch. But you can see how the word Teut and Teuton or Teutons, like Teuton, was turned to Deutsch and then to Deutsch. And it's no accident, even the Germanic populations were pagan and they loved this tree very, very much. Just like all the pagan populations in Europe before Christianity. Let's get a bit closer. It's a shame you cannot see it from up close. It's really beautiful. And naturally, a camera can never really grasp the vision created by the two eyeballs, so it's a tragedy. One very interesting detail is that the oracles of the oracle in Epiros and Dodoni, it was called, or Dodoni, they were sitting under their sacred oak trees, and they surrounded the trunk of the tree. I mean, right down on the ground, not on the trunk, but around the trunk, on the ground, around the tree, with some, how should I call them? They looked like bronze plates, but they were standing on a column, a bronze column, and they were all connected to each other. So whenever you hit one of them, all of them resounded and vibrated and resounded and created a very long-lasting sound. And you can hear that sound from really far away. And it must have been a mesmerizing experience to listen to that sound, to hear it, really. And in order to make their prophecies, they were sitting out under the oak trees, and they were listening to the rustling of the